Have you ever wondered what really pulls the strings in your brain when it comes to memory? You know, we all assume it's the big emotional moments that get locked in forever, right? For better or worse. But what if I told you the real superpower is just a simple, conscious choice? Yeah, let's get into it. So this is really the big question we're tackling today. Is your memory some kind of wild horse just run by pure emotion? Or is it something you can actually take the reins on and steer yourself? We're going to look at the science that basically put these two forces in a ring to fight it out. All right, to get to the bottom of this, let's imagine a kind of competition happening right inside your head. And first, we need to introduce the main contenders, the heavy hitters that are always wrestling to control what you remember and what you forget. So in one corner, you've got involuntary emotion. You know what I'm talking about. A really stressful day or that moment of pure unexpected joy. These memories feel like they're just burned into our brains, whether we like it or not. And in the other corner, deliberate intention. This is your conscious mind, your CEO, making a choice from the top down and saying, hey, pay attention. This is important. Remember this. And of course, there's our third contender, the one we've all been told is the secret champion of memory, a good night's sleep. You know, that magical time when our brain is supposed to be filing away all the important stuff from the day. So who actually wins when these three go head-to-head? Well, to find out, researchers set up this brilliant experiment. They created a perfectly controlled arena where these forces could go toe-to-toe. Let's break down exactly how they put memory to the test. Okay, so here's the setup. People looked at 100 different words. Half of them were totally neutral, like table, and the other half were negative, like danger. Now, right after each word flashed on the screen, they got a command, either remember or forget. Simple, right? Then they did a quick test to see what stuck right away. But the real showdown was 12 hours later, after some folks had slept and others had just stayed awake, to see what truly made it into long-term storage. So, the stage was set, the test was done, and the results started rolling in. And honestly, they were not what anyone expected. It turned out to be a massive upset in the battle for the brain. After all that, when the dust settled, what was it? What was the single biggest factor that decided whether a memory got saved or just tossed out? Was it the emotional punch of the word, the simple instruction from a scientist, or that famous memory-boosting power of sleep? And here's the proof, right here on the screen. Just look at this chart. It's not even close. The recall for words people were just told to remember is way, way higher than for anything else. The power of that simple instruction just completely dwarfed the effect of emotion. The verdict was in, and it was a knockout. Intention won, hands down. That simple, deliberate choice to remember was way more powerful than the automatic gut punch of an emotional word. And the lead author of the study, Dr. Laura Curtisiel, she really nailed it with this quote. It turns out we aren't just passengers along for the ride in our own minds. We're actually in the driver's seat with way more control than we give ourselves credit for. But hold on, like any good story, it's not quite that simple. Intention might be the hero of the story, but our other contenders, emotion and sleep, they played these really fascinating and much more complicated roles. So if intention is the big champion, does that mean emotion just doesn't matter? Not at all. It's just, its job is a lot more subtle than we thought. Think of emotion as an amplifier. When someone was told to remember a negative word, they were even more likely to remember it. So intention plus emotion, that was a super powerful combination. But, and this is a big but, there's a dark side. Emotion also made people much more likely to create false memories, to be totally confident they'd seen negative words that were never actually there. Okay, so what about our third contender, the one we all count on after a long day of studying? Surely a full night of sleep had to help people remember better, right? And this might be the biggest shocker of the whole study. Overall, the group that slept did no better on the memory test than the group that stayed awake. That's wild! Just sleeping, in and of itself, didn't give them a general memory boost. So, is sleep useless? Nope. The secret wasn't if they slept, but how they slept. The real story, the juicy details, were hidden in the specific patterns of their brainwaves during the night. So the scientists zoomed in on things called sleep spindles. These are like quick, powerful bursts of brain activity while you're asleep. And they found that the more spindles a person had, the better their memory was, but only for the emotional words they were told to remember. The sleeping brain wasn't just saving everything, it was being incredibly selective. And it turns out different parts of sleep do totally different jobs. So like we saw, those sleep spindles helped lock in the important emotional stuff, but deep slow wave sleep, that was actually linked to worse recall, which suggests it might be helping us actively forget the junk we don't need. And REM sleep, its brainwaves were tied to creating those tricky false emotional memories. Sleep isn't just one thing, it's a whole complex sorting facility. So what does all of this mean for us in our everyday lives? Well, when you piece it all together, the power of intention, the quirks of emotion, and the detailed work of sleep, a really powerful picture starts to form. So why is your intention so incredibly powerful? It seems to do three things. First, just telling yourself, remember this, forces you to pay way more attention in that moment. Second, that instruction acts like a little digital tag, telling your brain, hey, this one's a keeper, put it in the VIP section. And finally, it actually helps push down other distracting information, clearing the path for that important memory to get stored. The bottom line is this. While emotions are flashy and sleep is crucial, they're not the main event. The number one driver of what your brain decides to hold on to is your own conscious choice, your intention. Just like Dr. Kurdinseel said, our intentions are a powerful tool, and not just for remembering, but for actively forgetting too. We are not just watching a movie of our memories play out, we are the editors. So, all this leaves us with one last pretty big question. Now that you know you're in charge, that your intention is the most powerful tool you have for shaping your own mind, what will you choose to remember? And maybe just as important, what will you choose to let go of?